Hello, welcome to John's Author Diary for the week ending October the 20th, 2019. I finished my final draft of The Hanged Man this week, so woohoo, that was good. I'm glad to have got that done. That's now with beta readers and will require a final edit. Now I've had to do a bit of a change of plan because my idea originally was to take a story that I've written before, so this is for book 13 called Death, and do a new edit on the story. So I wrote a story, I think it was in 2016, called Her Name Was Red, and this is basically the point in the story where I am at now with my main character. So I've had this idea for the big fantasy story for a while, and so this is where the Her Name Was Red story fits into the tale. And in my mind I thought, okay, this will work perfectly, it'll just slot in. I have to tweak a few things, maybe just make sure that the voice is the same and things like that. And I went back to it, and I don't know, the story, I think I'm much better at telling stories now. So this was actually quite disappointing to me to read it again and think, actually, this isn't that good. So what I've done is I've done a new outline for book 13. I think it's a much stronger story. I think there are elements that people who've read the Her Name Was Red story will recognise. There's almost like the spine of the story's there, but there are a lot more things that happen. The pacing's better, and the ending's a bit different. So, you know, it's similar enough that people who've been reading my stuff for a while will recognise elements, but it's different as well. So I will start writing that the week after next. So this next week is half-term holidays. So my son's off for a week, and I intend to do things like make a pop-up book with him and go Pokemon hunting and all that good stuff. So next week I'm going to plan out my next half-term. Now, I think what I need to do really is make sure that books 13 and 14 are done. And I also want to start editing either Cleric of the Wasteland or Blind Reset. I have to give him both stories a quick read. I think that Blind Reset is closer to being done. So the chances are I will probably start working on that. But I need to get these two rest of the year's episodes out for Ravenglass Chronicles. So book 12 is going to be my November release. And because of Christmas, I'm probably just going to stick book 13 out early January. And I think my December release will be the books 9 to 12 box set. So in terms of reading, I finished Assassin's Fate by Robin Hobb. Really enjoyed it. Bit of a tear in my eye near the end. Now, it did bring in elements of a kind of spin-off series that I abandoned. There was the Live Ship series, which I couldn't get through. I thought that the writing was just overblown and I didn't like it, but I do remember some of the characters from that, so they came in this last book, so bringing everything together, which was quite cool. And so Digit, after his attack the other week, is now back to work. We did the school run on Thursday, and it was great. He was fine, so he's really happy to be working again. I'm sure he's ecstatic to get that stupid plastic cone thing off his head. And on Friday, we went to the Lake District place called Elterwater, and we did a couple of hours walk around there. Nothing too taxing, but he enjoyed that. It's really nice just to have Digit back working. I really prefer working with a dog than with a stick, so hooray for that. This week, I also had my first appointment with a life coach. Now, I've never done any coaching before. It was really good, actually. It helped me to think through a lot of issues I have with my work. So I've got some great things to try out for dealing with distractions and overcoming procrastination, that sort of thing. I think what was interesting was the discussion about reframing success. You know, what does success mean to me? And I think I've been measuring it wrong, really, because I don't consider myself successful yet. You know, I don't feel like I'm earning enough money from my writing. But there's also the success of the idea, okay, you might not be successful using that metric, but in other metrics like having meaning in your life, feeling creatively fulfilled, being able to be there for your son every day to pick him up from school, and the fact that I have written, finished, published 4 novels, 11 novellas. You know, that's something that should be celebrated, really. That should be something that I see as success. And one thing that I'm going to do, because, you know, every morning I do my meditation and exercise and things like that. I also do a gratitude journal, which is where I'm thankful. And I give thanks for things. And what that does is it keeps me on the lookout for things to be grateful for, because it's very easy in life to focus on the negative and things like that. So actually looking around for things that are positive in your life will actually bring up your happiness level, because you realise that actually there's some really cool things going on. There's a lot to be thankful for. So what she suggested is, as well as the gratitude, also basically give myself more credit. So because of the way I work, I just write a book, publish it, right, what's next? I'm always just working through on the next project. And because I haven't seen this huge financial success, I've not really celebrated anything. I've not really gone, wow, that's the cool achievement. I've written a book. And, I should be celebrating the fact that I got through book 12, The Hanged Man, which, as I've explained before, was really difficult to write. And so I should be celebrating that. I should be giving myself credit for mental strength and for being able to not let that derail me and things like that. So, I need to do that. I need to work out how to do that. And there was another thing that came up as well in the conversation, which was about giving myself breaks, because I finished book 12 on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday I planned my outline for book 13, and I thought, right, if I really push it, I should be able to get book 13 written over these next 2 days. So if I'm really just go all in, I should be able to get it done. And one thing that was suggested, which I find difficult to do just because my wife works full time and she works really hard, and she's got a side hustle as well, and I've got a child, so she works really hard and it's difficult to have breaks, but having a day off. And so I had a day off on Thursday, and I watched telly and I listened to audiobooks. And so instead of doing this really intense work, I've just allowed my mind to rest a bit. I think I need to do that. I think when I get to the end of a project, instead of just going, right, next thing, I need to just have a little break, little breather. Doesn't matter if it's eating into a writing day. I think I need to just change my mindset on that as well. So yeah, coaching was really useful. I'm going to talk to her again. I think it's in 3 weeks. So that's cool. I'm going to do that. Looking forward to that. In podcasting news, on the Sci-Fi Roundtable this week, Shane Thomas and I interviewed Stephanie Barr, who is a rocket scientist, and we interviewed her about rocket science. So lots of questions from the other members of the Sci-Fi Roundtable, asking questions to a rocket scientist. So you can imagine how that goes. And it's one of those things where, okay, we had so many questions that we're going to have to do another episode in the future. So look forward to that. So finally, I would like to invite you to check out my Patreon page. I post these episodes a day early on Patreon. They're for public access, so you can get to them without having to subscribe. I've also finished posting Wizard of the Wasteland now, so that is all up. So what I'm going to do next is start posting what I'm calling the pre-edited version of the new version of The Fool. So you'll be able to get a peek of that before everyone else. So I'm going to post 3 chapters of that per week. So that's patreon.com/John Cronshaw author. So until next time, cheerio.